Welcome to a bonus episode of Timm Talk, the podcast every once in a while about the DC animated universe, co-created by Bruce Timm. I am Chris Lord.
I'm so excited. And Cameron Dexter.
And he's Cameron Dexter. But no, we're finally going to do an episode talking about Disney Plus.
Yes.
So
they finally paid us enough money for us to talk about Disney Plus.
Yeah, I mean, it's been out for a few weeks now, so Cameron, I credit you on your patience and letting it go this long.
Yes, I wanted us to, it definitely wasn't a timing issue. That certainly was not the problem. But I wanted to fully be with the service for more than, get out of the honeymoon phase of me being with the service and fully appreciate it for what it is. Because I have such a natural habit to just click on the Netflix logo because I have it in my bookmark bar. I'm like, will that change? Has that changed? Has my routine changed at all because of this?
You wanted to fully be in the world post Disney Plus.
Yes.
ADP. Mm-hmm. To really know what it would be like. Mm-hmm. On my end, I just don't have time to watch anything anymore. But also, given how much we're enjoying Static, and that we spent a lot of time diverting away from Zeta when we were doing Zeta, I definitely want to try and give us a little bit of runway on Static. So yeah, this seems like a natural point. Plus the holidays, we have to record stuff early. Mm-hmm. So we won't have any of the normal stuff. We're not talking really. We have one major news topic. We're not really talking news. We're not doing notes from friends or plugs. We're just kind of talking about this one specific thing. Also worth noting. This is basically just me doing a cover our asses essentially, but it is worth acknowledging that. Cameron, you and I both work, though we're kind of on the outskirts of things, we both work for pretty major players in the industry at this point.
I'd appreciate it if everyone listening could just sign a quick NDA for us.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be super convenient. Thanks, guys.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah, but we both work for companies that have a pretty substantial role in the business in some sort of capacity. But whatever we talk about on here, it kind of goes without saying, but I'm saying it officially. So I guess it actually has to go with saying.
Yeah.
Whatever we talk about, whatever knowledge we have, it's either opinion or public knowledge. None of it comes from whatever little bits of information we glean while we're at work, which frankly is essentially nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Though they're both major companies, we are on the outskirts.
I'm so far down the totem pole.
So far down the totem pole. Nothing of any real consequence ever even comes across our ears, but worth acknowledging up at the top. Just this is all of our opinions and stuff we get from public sources. The stuff we're gonna be discussing.
In case any of our coworkers are listening.
Exactly. Yeah.
I hope not.
In case HR is listening.
Yes.
Which again, also I really hope not. But the first thing we want to talk about, and eventually it'll kind of segue into our major topic, which is just everything and all things Disney Plus, is there's kind of a discussion happening right now about a very specific thing, which is the Paramount Consent Decrees.
Yes.
Sorry, let me say that the right way. Paramount Consent Decrees.
Yes.
I don't know what consent is.
Yes, consent. So we're going to dive into kind of a legal case that's been going on for a little bit. We'll try and make it sound as interesting as possible. But I mean, we're an entertainment podcast. We go to the movies all the time. Yeah. And I assume people that listen go to the movies all the time. So this is a pretty important thing for people that enjoy cinema.
That's the thing, is ultimately it actually is really, really important. And even if you listen to this because you really just care about the DCAU, ultimately what we're talking about could have some kind of effects on even access to that sort of content at the end of the day. But I mean, for me, I think it's super interesting. But yeah, for those that might be bored, sorry.
So do you want to give a quick rundown of what the decree is?
So essentially what it comes down to is there was a legal case in the 30s, and based on the article I read today, I guess it was finally settled in 1948. But so we're going way back in history here.
Yeah.
But essentially what happened was the government sued Paramount, but essentially Paramount standing in for all major studios at the time.
Yeah.
And the consequence of that case was that studios could no longer own picture houses. They could no longer own the means of distribution, which was really critical because essentially it was helping to break up a vertically integrated monopoly. So for those of you who don't know, a vertical monopoly is when a company owns every step of production on something. So in the case of the entertainment industry, a vertical monopoly would be someone that owns both the actual physical production of something and then ultimately the distribution of it. It's kind of like the two major halves. There's obviously lots of other intermediate steps in between. But the reason why this is really critically important is owning distribution creates inherent biases. So what used to happen back in the day is essentially if you were going to a Paramount owned theater, they would probably be screening almost exclusively or potentially exclusively just Paramount movies, which meant that you didn't have, if you only lived near one theater, which probably for a lot of people was more or less the case at that time, you could only see certain movies. So you were limited to what you were able to have access to, which created a monopoly. It also meant that even if a theater was showing multiple movies from different studios, a major studio could come in and say, okay, well, if you want to screen our big movie, so a modern example, the example that was used in this article from Slash Film is if you're Paramount and a theater wants to screen the next Mission Impossible movie, a movie that's going to do really big business, you can basically also force upon that theater things that aren't going to do well.
Yeah, you can strong arm them into playing a movie they're not expected to do well, but it has to have the same amount of screen time as a movie that's not only going to give us a lot of money but give you a lot of foot traffic and money.
Exactly. So what's happening right now is that the Justice Department is considering essentially removing these restrictions, and they kind of describe it as a sunset period over a couple of years when they would change some things. But there are a lot of potential negative consequences.
A lot of negative consequences.
I mean,
there's like maybe like one or two shining lights that come out of this.
Yeah,
but the negatives way outweigh the positives.
So, and we're basing most discussion on this article you sent me from Slash Film, but they even acknowledge one positive thing is, okay, so for example, this changes. So now Netflix owns movie theaters. Netflix is able to either build or buy out theater chains. So what could be beneficial is a couple of things. One is some of their smaller movies that are only getting put on Netflix, they might actually be able to get onto more big screens, which I think in general is a positive thing. I think there's a lot of really high quality films that aren't necessarily getting that sort of traction, which would be good.
The Night Before Christmas.
Exactly. Yes. The Night Before Christmas.
Yes.
For example, not to be confused with Last Christmas, which I was convinced was a Netflix movie, but apparently is not.
I did see it. I think I told you that.
We talked about it.
Yeah, you nailed your prediction.
Yeah, I had it down from the moment I saw the trailer what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But that would be a positive thing, or they could offer up subscription services, kind of like what AMC is doing right now, which I have it. You also have it, right?
I do not have it.
You should get it, man.
I know. I only go to the
Grove. So I get it, but it's like so that's great because it's $20 and you can go see multiple movies and that sort of thing. So there's the potential for that you could get a subscription model for going to a theater, see stuff you wouldn't be able to see before, which these are all good things. Also, it's a subscription model, so it's great for business. But I think the negatives far outweigh that in the end.
Because that's a positive for the big cities. So LA, New York, Chicago, Dallas, they'll have these pop-up theaters.
Yeah, there are so many theaters in LA we can go to, and ones that like ArcLight specialize in really small movies you wouldn't be able to see at an AMC.
I feel like I'm gonna do this test really fast. If I do a 5-mile search, how many theaters do you think we could get to from this point?
15.
That's actually a pretty good guess.
Yeah, I based it off the ones I can think of outside my head. We're not going to run through a list, which I'm very tempted to do.
I'm just going to count them. I want them to know where you live.
Yes, from my zip code, which is beep.
Yeah,
you can get to. Fuck it, everyone knows where I live.
Yeah,
it's on
Hollywood.
It's on my fucking Instagram.
So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't know if this is 5 miles, but I zoomed out until I could see Universal City.
Okay.
12, so one at Universal City. Oh, no, 13, 14, 15, 16. You're off by one.
Damn, that's pretty fucking good, though, for outside my head. But no, we have lots of theaters here. But ultimately what this wouldn't, as much as it would affect theater goers in major cities, it would affect people in not major cities significantly more.
Yeah, so there were two methods studios would strong arm the chains, and so the main one was bundles.
Yeah.
So like, hey, if I'm giving you Mission Impossible, you're also going to have to take
this movie we know is a total turd.
Prince of Persia. I don't know.
I think which was Disney.
I know. It's just the first one that came to my mind. Like, what's an average film?
Okay, fine. If you're Sony, we're gonna make you. If you want Spider-Man Far From
You're
Home,
have to take Spider-Man 2.
Exactly. You're gonna have to take the Amazing Spider-Man 2. You're gonna have to take Men in Black 3, which maybe theaters wanted. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we're gonna force upon you movies that we know aren't gonna do well for you, and you know aren't gonna do well for you.
Yes. So that was one method. They did the same thing, but in reverse, called block booking, which is also something cable companies used to do, or not TV stations would try and do. So for films, it's basically like, hey, if you want to play Avengers in your theater, then you can't play Justice League when it comes out.
Yeah.
So kind of incentivizing choosing us over the other. And then there was a third aspect, which I watched the video to kind of understand it a little more. There was an addendum added to this later on, but it was, I put the quote down. Studios are mandated to provide a viewing of all films prior to negotiation and release. Which basically means
it's a quality check.
Yeah. So like, what theaters get to do is before a movie comes out, they send a representative of their theater to go and watch the movie, and that person kind of makes a guess of how popular it's going to be, how many screens they need to put it on, how long it's going to run, and then they can negotiate with the studio on a price point after that.
Yeah, and I don't know a lot about distribution. From what I've read up on it, again for this podcast, it seems like a lot of this stuff is done by a movie-by-movie basis, or maybe like
it absolutely is done by a movie-by-movie basis.
Yeah.
That was not always the case though.
Exactly. So yeah, essentially what it could come down to here is that they wouldn't have to do this anymore. They could just be like, you don't get a chance to see these movies ahead of time, so you just have to decide essentially without any sort of knowledge of what the movie's going to be, what you do with it.
Yeah.
Which puts theater chains in a very precarious situation.
Right, because you could have theater, because I was watching another video about this. You could have theaters that, if you think about the past, put all of their money into one big summer hit.
Yeah.
So if we think of the past, like, Valerian. I know nothing about this movie, but it looks beautiful. A lot of people are talking about it. That's going to be the movie of the summer.
Based on a comic book. Avengers did amazing.
Yeah, so I'm going to block out half our theater for a month for Valerian screenings. And I have no way to tell if that's going to be a good idea or not, because they're not showing me Valerian.
Yeah. Yeah, so essentially it disempowers theater chains.
Yeah.
And, there are already some complicated politics that goes into this. So I don't remember if it was this article or another article I read, but it was talking about The Last Jedi. So you may recall there was some controversy around theatrical exhibition of The Last Jedi. Essentially, Disney... It's interesting we're going to spend a lot of time talking about Disney because we're not starting out great with them.
Yeah.
But Disney essentially dictated, specifically The Last Jedi, that they would get 65% of the box office, which I don't know what a normal distribution breakdown looks like. But, I mean, this article pointed out that it was considered, and I quote, draconian in terms of what it would get. They also were insisting that theaters book it all, like any theater showing it had to have it in theaters for 4 weeks, which... that's a big movie, so that makes sense. But at the same time, maybe you're in a small town, it's holiday season, lots of movies are coming out. Like, for example, the town I grew up in, there's a lot of theaters nearby, but there's like one local theater that, I try and go to when I can, just kind of help support it. It's a really beautiful theater.
Yeah.
They have 2 screens. So all of a sudden, imagine one of your screens for a month solid around the holiday season can only show Star Wars. Well, everyone has already seen it within maybe 2.5 weeks. So then... you're essentially forced to program something for 2.5 weeks when no one's going to be going. And also you're losing out on the potential revenue of having something else come in and slot in its place.
Exactly.
So that sort of stuff was already happening now when there are still blocks and monopolies and some of these sort of dirty practices in place. Take all these away and all of a sudden becomes a lot worse. So I guess if we want to try and relate it to like, what does this mean kind of more on a consumer level? Why this is really problematic for people to just go to the movies and don't care about the nit-grit of the business is, one, were this to go away, I think it ultimately comes down to less choice. You're going to have less options in a theater.
Yeah. And we have, we're kind of in this boom. We've been in this boom for the past, 10 years, I would say, where indie studios are coming out of the woodworks and making their own stuff. The biggest component being A24.
Yeah. So or like a Blumhouse that, jumps in and makes these small movies and makes huge, huge amounts of money.
Yeah. And they're all... the majority of these movies are high quality movies. Parasite was one they referenced in this
Bong
article.
Joon-ho's movie, yeah.
Which I'm not going to watch it, but I've heard is amazing.
Yeah.
Basically, what this means is these studios are the ones that aren't going to have a voice when it comes to these big fights.
Yeah.
We're going to have. It's not really going to affect Marvel, Sony, Disney, Sony, Paramount very much
Because they already have that kind of power.
because they're the people that will have the power immediately. They can be like, hey, Disney's like, hey, if you want this, you're also going to have to take a Wrinkle in Time. It's like, oh, but we were planning for, if you want, you're going to play New Mutants. We were going to plan for the next Blumhouse film. It's like, oh no, we're pushing them out.
Yeah.
You won't have space in your theater because you have to play our movies.
Yeah. So that's one of the big consequences. I think, what it's also ultimately going to come down to is it's going to put a lot of pressure onto smaller theater chains.
Yeah.
Who are already hurting in a lot of ways. Like, we can all acknowledge that movies are ridiculously expensive now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
have we talked about the tier system that studios are trying to in place?
we haven't actually.
A separate article I read was kind of tying into the same thing. To try and make more profit or to try and incentivize theaters more.
Oh, okay.
Studios wanted to implement a tier system.
Oh, I've heard about this, yeah.
Yeah, where like more indie films that aren't going to get as much traction, they're already limiting them by not putting them as many screens, but they're going to have them cost less. It's like you can go see Parasite for $7, or you can go and see, what's a big movie that just came out? Charlie's Angels,
Avengers, whatever.
Avengers, or you can go see Avengers for $18, and so that would, from one perspective, would incentivize people to go see these smaller films because it's less money.
Yeah.
But what that actually is going to mean is tickets are going to stay the same price, but now if you want to see Endgame, it's going to cost you $30 a ticket because now it's a quote unquote premium film.
Yeah, essentially, it's going to become surge pricing of sorts for a movie.
Yeah.
Which is something they would absolutely love to have happen.
Which is fucking bullshit. And yeah, it is totally something that is a possible future.
Yeah, and movie theaters are hurting, right? There are alternate forms of entertainment now. I mean, we are about to spend most of the podcast talking about an OTT streaming platform that is now going to make fewer people go to theaters. At the end of the day, when content is at your fingertips, why would you make the effort to go down to a movie theater?
Last week was, I think, the first week this year I didn't go to the movies.
Yeah, there you go. See, the great example of that, right? It's like when you have it so much easily accessible, why would you go? And so theaters are hurting because people aren't going quite as often. So that's what they're having to rely on all these other things to try and make money. Like at the end of the day, the AMC subscription thing, though it's really nice, I do not see probably even one movie a month, much less like the two that makes it really be cost effective. Yeah. That's good for them. They really want to get you in there, and that's why they offer like all these food and gifts. And like they're all these.
So for people that don't know, I think it's pretty common knowledge, but movie theaters make their money off of concessions.
Yeah, they don't make it off of the exhibition.
Basically all profits on tickets go back to the studios.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly how it works, but my understanding is that as time goes on, the theaters themselves make more of the percentage.
I think it's after week 3.
Yeah, it's like the percentage changes as time goes on. So I mean, the nice thing is when you have a movie with a really long leg, so like Avatar, of course, the classic examples, Avengers Endgame.
Finding Nemo.
Yeah, the longer they're in theaters, the more actually the theater chains themselves make.
Yeah,
which is good. And I think what ends up happening is I think you start to get this mindset of like, well, the immediate bad guy in this situation always feels like the movie theaters because they charge so much for tickets. And like, to be honest, usually when I go to a movie now, something is going wrong. It's usually the part of the theater, but usually someone's being obnoxious, someone's on their phone. Like, it's not the greatest experience. So you start to villainize those people and think like, oh, it's the theaters that are making all these things so expensive. It's like, well, they're still a business and they're struggling to kind of keep up with this sort of stuff. And a change in these sort of rules is only going to give more power to the studios. It's going to lead to higher monopolies. And the other thing it's going to potentially lead to is further consolidation of companies. So, you were talking about how someone like a Blumhouse or A24 wouldn't have the same sort of like political or industry clout to go up against a major studio, which means that they're now going to have to start clumping together to fight, to have the sort of power to go up against these sort of companies.
Or even worse, get bought out.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact...
Disney's A24.
Right, exactly. We talked about this, and we are seeing some of the benefits of it. But at the end of the day, it's a really bad thing that Disney bought Fox.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a really bad thing. I mean, great. We're getting X-Men in the MCU at some point. You know, The Simpsons are up on Disney Plus. Fantastic.
But they had a better streaming service already. Yeah. That's what's so frustrating about The Simpsons. Okay, sorry.
I know. But like the end result of all this is that this is bad. Like, it's pretty obvious to say this. Monopolies are a problem, which is why things like antitrust laws exist in the first place. Mm-hmm. We are seeing further consolidation across all businesses, but especially entertainment, in monopolies. So any sort of pullback on the laws that are in place to try and prevent problems from happening is a bad thing. Mm-hmm. A tangent to this worth acknowledging is one of the consequences of Disney buying out Fox, and maybe you've come across this someplace else, is that now for-profit theaters aren't allowed, or are making it hard, or finding a harder time to show Fox films. So there's a lot of, like, Fox has this massive back catalog. Mm-hmm. So, you know, holidays, like, not holiday season, but yeah, sure, like holiday season rolls around. So, you know, theaters want to do a screening of like A Miracle on 34th Street, or maybe like Home Alone or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or around Halloween, they want to do a showcase of Alien or Aliens or anything like, you know, Die Hard is a movie that gets a lot of replay in small theaters. And there are a lot of small theaters that actually kind of rely on exhibition of movies like that to bring in, you know, money to help support them. Because, you know, you and I love to go see movies that we've already seen in a theater because we've never seen them that way before.
Yeah, we saw, I think you go more than I do, but we saw Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, I saw that at Quentin Tarantino's New Bev. I've seen a couple James Bond films from before my time in theaters.
I've seen Rocky Horror a couple times.
Yeah, and you know, what's basically happening is that Disney is really restricting people's access to the Fox back catalog.
Yeah, they're trying to re-implement their vault system.
Exactly. So now extending the vault mentality to Fox properties and making it harder to get exhibitions of it, which is really problematic. And
wait, can I do one quick comment on the vault?
Please.
I think only you would care about this, and people that are listening. The new head of Disney Parks is the guy that invented the Disney Vault.
Oh, that's not good.
Isn't that terrifying?
That is absolutely terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh boy. Everything is limited and exclusive now.
We might have to do an episode at some point on where we think Disneyland's going to go in the future.
I would love to.
I know obviously you would love to. I have some very cynical thoughts. That is a conversation for another time, I think. But that is an interesting aside that is horrifying to me as someone who loves going to Disneyland. But what?
So it's not just Disneyland. He's the head of all Disney parks.
All Disney parks, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, this is another thing it's going to be problematic. And it's funny you mentioned Rocky Horror, but that's the one they haven't really gone after. I think because they realized if they did that, there'd be like massive revolts.
Oh, but so many drag revolts.
But it also makes me realize that we really need to go to one of those Rocky Horror screenings soon because we may not be able to before too long. As a personal side, that has nothing to do with anyone that listens to this.
Yeah.
Except for Shane.
Yeah. But also, if you guys enjoy the movie Rocky Horror and haven't seen it live, it's a whole another experience.
Yeah. I've never gone to like a big theatrical screening. I went to a couple Halloweens ago. I went to a live drag screening of it at Flaming Saddles, which is my favorite gay bar in West Hollywood, where they play the movie and then during the songs, they have live drag performances of it. It was one of the greatest things I've ever done.
Yeah.
It's fucking fantastic.
If anyone's seen Perks Being a Wallflower, that's where I first learned about these live shows.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's such a great movie.
It's a great thing. But, you know, I mean, that's a problem. And kind of segueing into our primary topic here, one can easily see where the incentive is for Disney to restrict this sort of stuff because they want it all on their OTT platforms.
Yeah.
Which we're going to get into a lot of things we're enjoying about Disney Plus, but the fact that every studio now wants one and is working on one, I find a little bit troubling. You know, the nice thing about Netflix and Hulu is that the content was diverse. You could get stuff from everywhere. It was kind of like a one-stop shop, or I guess in this case, kind of a two-stop shop, to more or less get all the content you would want. And we're seeing lots of properties now getting pulled off these platforms to go exclusively onto the OTT things. You know, for example, all future Marvel releases will only be available on Disney Plus, and they're just waiting out until the licensing agreements are done with Netflix to pull what's up there down and move it over. So it's concerning.
Yes,
on some level,
very, very much so. But it's something that no one is really talking about right now. Like, one of my coworkers sent me this Slash film, and I'm kind of sending it to everyone. This Slash film article I'm kind of saying it to everyone because this is something that will affect, so many people.
Yeah.
Especially the nerd community.
Yeah.
We love our movies.
We do. And theoretically, stuff like streaming makes it easier to get a hold of, but it may not always end up being the case. I mean, I don't know what Disney Plus intent is. I feel like maybe they'll do some Vault-esque elements in terms of what's up on their...
I'm still very worried that the price point is still way too low for me to feel like everything is okay.
Yeah.
Like there's something going on they haven't told us yet.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because the thing is that as it exists right now, Disney Plus, goddamn, is it worth the price?
Holy shit, yeah.
I mean, it's $7 a month. You and I both did the pre-buy deal thing, so it's like it was 140 something for...
It was 160 for 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
That's
and that
insane.
also includes Hulu and ESPN.
Yeah, but I didn't do that because I have no ad Hulu, and I couldn't get a definitive answer if I could keep that while bundling.
My friend still pays for our group Hulu, so I just have it, and it's really for ESPN that I'm just giving to my stepdad.
Okay, that's fair. Because I don't give a shit about sports.
Yeah.
So I did not care about ESPN. And all the Olympics will be on NBC anyways.
That's true.
That's the only sports that I ever watch every 2 years. So, but no, I mean, like at its current price point, it's absolutely fantastic, and there's good stuff on it. So
Yeah.
I have only watched the first 3 episodes of Mandalorian, and I rewatched Rogue One because I've been dying to watch it, and I knew it was going to be on there. So that's what I've watched so far. Now, do we want to talk about the Mandalorian first, then you can go to everything else you've watched, or how do you want to do this?
Let's talk about what's missing first.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
Because there's some stuff that has shocked me that it's not on here.
Okay.
So I've kind of broken it up into 3 tiers of what's not quote unquote on Disney Plus yet. So you have the stuff that's listed that has like an icon, you can click on it, but it's not on the platform yet. That's majority stuff that Disney has contracted out to other streaming services. And so they will get the rights within the next 2 years.
Okay.
Then you have all the Fox stuff, which, per rumors that have been going around for since Disney Plus was announced, that's going to basically take over all of Hulu.
Yeah.
And then you have the stuff that is Disney property that's just not even mentioned anywhere. So the biggest ones that will be coming to the service in the next year or two, you have like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Cloak and Dagger, the Muppets TV show, Star Wars Holiday Special, Last Jedi, Solo, Incredibles 2. Tarzan wasn't on there, which really shocked me.
Interesting.
Sky High, Into the Woods.
Sky High.
Most of the recent live action stuff. So the live action Cinderella, Tomorrowland, Alice in Wonderland 1 and 2, Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast, Mary Poppins Returns, Wrinkle in Time, Dumbo, Lion King, and Aladdin. But then the other ones, which kind of shocked me, were all 3 Mighty Ducks are not on there. And I only know Mighty Ducks 2 is on HBO Go right now.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't know where 1 and 3 are.
I don't know. Also, tangent there. So the fat kid in the Mighty Ducks, he has grown up and is now gorgeous and is a bartender in WeHo.
Oh, that's good to know.
He's straight, but he's very, very handsome. That's what always happens.
Isn't it?
Yeah. It was like Jerry O'Connell was the same way. It was like, oh, it's the fat kid from Stand By Me. Like, oh, now he's married to Rebecca Romaine? God damn, good on you, bro.
Yes, that's just the things that I have found so far that I have been searching for. I will get into the many faults I have with the streaming service in a minute, because there are many things wrong with the streaming service.
Okay.
But for Fox things, I was just thinking about the kids stuff that could exist on Disney Plus. American Tails, no. Anastasia, Alvin and the Chipmunks franchise, the Ice Age franchise. There's an Ice Age short that's on there.
Oh yeah.
The Night at the Museums and the Percy Jacksons.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's interesting.
Those are not listed anywhere. There's no connection to them and Disney Plus as of recording this.
It's worth acknowledging that the perspective of Disney Plus is, as far as we know, is only to put up stuff that is family friendly.
That's my idea for it. Yeah.
So we're not going to see, for example, Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I would be
up on Disney Plus at some point.
I mean, if they want to make a 3rd icon that's Disney After Dark, or sorry, a 6th icon.
Yeah. Was it you that made a comment that as a result of this, now technically Frankenfurter is a Disney queen?
Princess? Yeah, absolutely he is.
I love it.
And so then I have a list of Disney-owned properties that are not on there. Some of which no one will have ever heard of except for me, because I dove deep into this.
Well, that's
one.
why we have you here, Cameron.
Yes. So the biggest one, which I'm very shocked, and I've talked to a lot of people about, is Enchanted is not on there.
Really?
Which is a Disney princess film.
Yeah, I love that film.
Yeah. There's no mention of Enchanted on the app.
Do you think that's just Amy Adams trying to bury it?
That's what I keep saying. But I don't get it, because there has to be some contract issue with all of these.
Yeah. I have said it before, maybe not on this podcast, but friends of mine will know I've said this a lot. I miss old Amy Adams because she's talented. She's obviously super talented, but like she also is a really great comedic actress. For those of you who haven't seen Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is a fucking hilarious film, she's in it. But I feel like all she does now is just like she only does movies because she's like so desperate to get that Oscar.
Yeah.
And I miss like fun Amy Adams.
Yeah, I feel like I don't want to hate on her, but I feel like we can kind of say the same about Emma Stone.
Oh, I totally feel the same way about Emma Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I liked Zombieland 2 so much.
I know. It's nice to see her in her roots.
I know, right?
So Enchanted is not on there. Sticking with the bigger named things, all the Air Bud movies are not on there.
Oh my
None of
God,
the Air
what a
Bud
travesty.
movies. Isn't it? The obvious ones, Incredible Hulk and Hulk, are not on there because they're still technically owned by Universal.
Yep.
My Date with the President's Daughter, which is
Will Friedle, right?
Boy Will
Yeah.
Friedle. Yeah, it's not on there. Angels in the Outfield and Angels in the End Zone are not on there.
Oh, Angels in the Outfield.
Okay, so those, and then Proud Family. The movie is on there, but the series is not.
It's not?
Isn't that crazy?
That's a shame.
So there's a handful of animated things on here from around the early 2000s.
Kim Possible.
It is on there. That's all I've been watching.
Yeah.
Literally the only thing I've been watching. But I feel like the studio that made I think there's one studio that's having contract issues because all the shows that aren't on there kind of look the same. And I haven't done the research yet, but I feel like they're all done by the same house.
Oh, maybe like a production company.
Yeah.
Oh, that could be interesting.
So now diving into the deeper cuts.
Wait, sorry. You have deeper cuts?
Oh, I have tears.
Oh, no. Tears of misery.
Yes. So there's a show called Sunny with a Chance, which was Demi Lovato's live action series from 2008. So Random was the spinoff of that. Pepper Ann is not on there. Lloyd in Space is not on there. Fillmore is not on there, even though technically they all started on ABC, but so did Boy Meets World. And if that counts, then these count too.
Yes.
The show that made me, there are two things that really made me upset. There's a show called American Dragon Jake Long.
Yes.
Which was an amazing animated series from the mid 2000s, 2005, 2007. I'm very sad that's not on there, and I don't know why. The biggest travesty is there's a show from the mid 2000s called The House of Mouse, which was an amazing series where it was basically the entire it's what the app should have been themed around. It was like a weekly Disney award show where every Disney character would go to the same venue and they'd watch shorts together. And so that could be, a new like Little Mermaid short was like a 15-minute thing. They'd show classic Mickey shorts. And like they'd show, like pilots of new animated series coming to Disney Channel.
Okay.
Like it was such a cool concept. It was almost Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Sure, but without the snark.
Yeah, but with Mickey and like every Disney character. So you would like pan over and you'd see Scar having a drink with Ursula.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
That is kind of fun.
And that's not even mentioned.
Okay.
Last few, because I can see you're getting very bored already.
It's like, wait, did it get deeper and more esoteric than House of Mouse?
Yes. Jet Jackson, the movie and the series, The Buzz on Maggie, Dave the Barbarian, Fish Hooks, Brandy and Mr. Whiskers, Life with Derek, Corey in the House, and Pair of Kings are kind of the bulk of the rest of my list.
Okay. So obviously there is a lot still to go up there, but I mean, the idea I would imagine is that they would kind of roll things out over time so that they can have things like, oh, hey, like coming to Disney Plus this month, the same way that Netflix is coming to Netflix this month, right?
Yes.
The idea of like trying to kind of keep people incentivized to come back because something new is on there they hadn't discovered before, or even just reminding them that it's on there.
Which is my biggest problem with them releasing everything on Friday.
Like all their shows released on Fridays?
Yes. So
I didn't know that.
every original series, new episodes are all on Friday, which I think is the dumbest way to roll out a series.
That is interesting that they don't have a broader programming perspective, but maybe they're also assuming that everyone is watching very specific things. Maybe they're running the assumption like you're going on there to... Maybe they assume that everyone's not you, Cameron, who's trying to watch all of it. They probably assume like, okay, everyone is going in to watch The Mandalorian, or like this group of people is watching The Mandalorian. This group of people is watching High School Musical, the series, or whatever it's called. And they probably want to put it out on a Friday because, again, it's all catered around family programming, right? So it's like, oh, it comes out on a Friday, so you as a family can sit down and watch it together on a Friday night or on a Saturday night or whatever, or Sunday afternoon. I think they want to have it out there so that it's that idea of like family, this is all speculative, family communal viewings put up on a Friday, assuming that that family is only maybe watching one or two things together.
Yeah.
And the rest of it's just, you know, everyone has their silo, their niche that they're going for.
But that's also my argument, though, is this is a family network. So dad can watch Mando, mom can watch Encore, kid can watch Forky.
Yeah, but then it doesn't matter that it's only coming out on the weekend.
But then they can all... Yeah, so that's my thing. So that can be the weekend stuff. But then the family show, which everyone watches together, which can be the Imagineering story, Goldblum, what are the ones I'm missing?
We don't have to do lists.
You're right, we don't. Have those come out on like a Tuesday night where it's like, okay, the family's all like, this is gonna be our family night now. It's like Tuesday night was we're all gonna watch the show together, and that could be really sweet.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know why they're only doing Fridays.
I know.
Have
your big
weird,
hitters on Friday. So have High School Musical and Mando on Friday. They have a show I think just called like Sundays with Disney. That thing comes out on Friday.
Oh, really?
I'm like, what are you doing with
Why
this?
is that on
No,
Sunday?
sorry, it's called Families with Deers. I don't know that. It's not important.
The day of the week isn't in the title.
It's not in the week.
So now your umbrage over its release schedule is no longer valid.
Yes, but it's still a good point. Like have Forky on Sunday. Sunday is for like parents to just drop their kid in front of the TV. At least that's how it was in my family. That's how that was every day. That's a burn on you, Mom.
It wasn't actually them dropping. It's just that was the only option.
Yeah, it was. Because I just scream and wail unless they put me right in front of the television. But yeah, have like the Forky shorts on Sunday so the kid can just like sit in front of the TV and watch it. Encore is a weekday show. That's not a weekend show.
Yeah, I don't know, Cameron.
Okay.
I don't have an answer as to why they're doing that. But I mean, look, the thing is it's already been very successful.
Yes.
So as of day one, they had over 10 million subscribers, which is pretty crazy. Now, that does factor in people who pre-purchase it, such as ourselves. That factors in a whole bunch of free year subscriptions that were given out as part of a Verizon deal. It also factors in that you could do a free trial. So we don't know if at the end of that week how many people retained or how many people retained after the first year. But that's still big numbers. It's higher than expected.
Yeah, and I think they are definitely using this to their advantage because Netflix is notorious for not sharing any data.
Yeah.
And so I think Disney just throwing out as big of numbers as possible.
So the articles, I was reading some articles on Variety today to try and just brush up on some of the numbers. And what I read too is that they put that out, but they're otherwise not really intending to put out numbers going forward, which is, it kind of makes sense. The advantage of having your own streaming platform is that you know the behaviors and the data on everyone watching it, and you don't have to share it. You just don't, because it's yours. It's coming through your platform.
Yeah.
So we're probably not going to see a lot more. Netflix, notoriously doesn't put out stuff. What's interesting is, as of right now, apparently, there hasn't really been a noticeable dip in Netflix usage or viewership. So apparently, Netflix has, what was it, the number? It's 60 million subscribers in the US and 158 million worldwide, which is insane. It's really insane. I mean, they are the tier that everyone's going to try and go after. I feel like if anyone can possibly do it, it's Disney.
Yeah, but that I think leads into all of the faults I think Disney Plus has right now.
Okay.
The biggest one, the most absurd one, because it's such a quick fix that an intern can do it, I think. I don't know how programming a streaming service works. I noticed this the minute I got on the server. First of all, the service came out an hour early. I don't know if you knew this.
No.
On the Tuesday night, it came out an hour early. I cried for 5 minutes, staring at my computer on the home screen, just scrolling through everything that I had at my fingertips now.
No comment.
Yeah, 5 full minutes of just tears because it came out 1 hour early.
Cameron, I don't think I've ever cried for 5 minutes straight in my whole life.
I don't think I have since my last breakup.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so that was my emotional state when first looking at the glory that was the Disney Plus app.
How did you know it came out an hour early?
Oh, because all of my friends knew.
Oh, fair enough.
So the first thing that I noticed was the major issue is when you organize things alphabetically, especially with series, someone was, I assume, just copying and pasting the titles into the search engine. Mm-hmm. So when you organize it properly, so half the series have Disney in the title, even though it doesn't actually belong there. So when you organize it alphabetically, randomly in the DI section, everything jumps out of order because you have Disney's Wizards of Waverly Place before Doug.
Okay, yeah. That's...
Yeah, and that's probably half of the series are bundled up in that section.
Yes.
So it's impossible to find anything properly.
As someone who's incredibly pedantic, I can appreciate.
It's so frustrating because I was scrolling through and I immediately made it to the S's. I'm like, where was Kim Possible? And I'm like, oh, it's not Disney's Kim Possible. And that's what's frustrating is you don't know what has the Disney in front of it and what doesn't.
Right.
Because it's technically supposed... Doug is actually the one that's supposed to be Disney's Doug. That's literally the name of the show. Because they had to differentiate once they bought it from Nickelodeon.
Yes.
It was a separate show. So Disney's Doug...
I can tell you're very upset about this.
It's so frustrating. Disney's Doug and Disney's Teacher's Pet are the only two that have Disney's in the name. But neither of them were on the list.
Have you written an angry letter yet?
I have so many.
To Bob himself.
Everyone that would listen, dear Mr. Iger, fix this, please. I just want to see where Even Stevens is supposed to be.
Okay.
Sorry, I got a little lightheaded on that one.
Okay, I can see why this is a major issue.
Yeah. So that's a very minor, big issue for me. Another one is they don't have a continue watching feature, which I think is
I noticed that too.
Heinous for how accustomed we've become to Netflix, because everyone else does. Netflix has one, Amazon has one, Hulu has one.
Yeah, you can pick up where you left off.
Yeah, and it's not only that it doesn't have a continue watching feature. If you click a show, so I've been rewatching Kim Possible religiously, and you press play on the Kim Possible page home screen, it will always start you at the beginning of episode 1. Mm-hmm. So I have to remember what episode I ended on and then go back and find it in the list.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, that's your point.
Yeah, so if I'm on episode, season 2, episode 18, I have to always go back to that point. So I have to remember where I left off.
Okay.
But it will remember where you were in the episode if you had already started it. Okay. So that's convenient.
So finally, a point for Disney.
Finally, Disney did something right.
This is the most I've ever heard you badmouth Disney. A very concentrated point.
Yeah. I mean, there's a handful of other bugs that I've noted. I have to refresh it every now and then. I have to sign out, and sign back in every now and then.
Yeah, I find that sometimes when I go to click on the new episode of The Mandalorian, it's like trouble playing this episode. Then I just click on it from a different place and it works fine.
Yeah, so there's the typical bugs you have on any new site with so much heavy traffic. Yeah. Another very, very, very small pedantic thing that bugs me is you can't favorite things from the homepage. So when I'm scrolling through, I have to actually click on the Lizzie McGuire movie, then press favorite, then go back to the homepage.
God, it's so much work.
It's 2 clicks. That's 2 more clicks than needed.
It's so inefficient. I can see why it's so frustrating for you.
It is. So I deactivated my Disney Plus account.
Yeah, Cameron's abandoned it entirely. He's set fire to the Disney sweatshirt he is currently wearing.
He has the giant Disneyland sweater. Yep.
And also the Avengers hat that he is currently wearing.
Yep.
And okay, those are just normal. Those are normal purple socks. Yeah. But okay.
Yes. So those are my upfront complaints with the app.
Now, without venturing back into the list territory, I know how much you love your lists. What have you been watching that's really been standing out for you? Like, I know you've been watching The Mandalorian, which we do want to talk about.
Yeah. Do we just want to go into originals, or do we want to go into everything?
I mean, let's actually talk about the originals, because whatever is up there that's legacy content, like everyone is seeing it.
Yeah.
At this point. So I mean, I know you've been watching Kim Possible.
Yeah, I mean, Kim Possible, Recess, Lizzie McGuire.
Yeah.
Those are kind of my go-to three things, and I've shifted my sleep schedule, so now I fall asleep to them now, and it's very delightful.
Oh man, so many thoughts. Okay, but
I haven't had a good night's sleep in 2 weeks, Chris.
for very different reasons. Okay, what of the new content, of the original content, are you really excited about?
The stuff. My top three things right now, by no one's surprise: Mandalorian, High School Musical, the musical, the series, and the Imagineering story.
Wait, sorry. It's called High School Musical, the musical, the series.
Yes, HSMTMTS.
I mean, I do love overuse of a colon, so this is fantastic. Okay, let's save Mandalorian towards the end, so we can both talk about it.
Yeah, I did try, because I knew we were going to do this episode. I tried to watch at least one episode of every original.
Okay,
and I've not finished either of the movies. I've started Noelle, haven't finished it yet, and I've not watched Lady and the Tramp, because I'm assuming I'm going to watch that with my family over Thanksgiving.
Okay, so all right. Let's talk about the Imagineering story, because that one sounded really interesting to me, and that's one I want to start watching. So tell me about it.
It's my favorite thing on the app.
Really? Okay.
By a pretty large margin.
So what is it exactly?
So there's 3 episodes out right now. I've only watched episode 1. It is a full documentary series about the creation of not only the Disney parks, but the creation of the job title Imagineering.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So it goes by decade. So the first episode was all about the creation of Disneyland, the creation of the Imagineers, where they came from, and it ends 1966 with Walt's death.
Okay.
And the last line is basically like they're interviewing the Imagineers that are still alive from back in the day, and one of them was like, "Oh, we all went out to dinner after his passing," and it was literally like, "Okay, what do we do now?
Yeah.
We don't know where to go from here."
Well, I assume the first thing they did was draw a pentagram on the ground and try and bring back his spirit to get some advice.
Yeah. And there was a great
drag him out from the depths of hell.
There was a great quote by one of the guys. And now he said, and now we find out how much of our job Walt actually did for us.
Oh, interesting.
Which is so, like, I feel like contradictory to what we always hear about Walt. Like, he was the guy that just, like, everyone did everything for him. But, like, talking to the Imagineers and seeing how much passion he put into this park.
Well, I mean, yeah, he was steering the ship.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, he had that 30,000-foot view of the whole thing, of the company, of the park, of everything, and like that is critical. I mean, we've talked about it before. Why like Kevin Feige is so critical to the MCU, because he has that sort of perspective. So I can totally understand why they could have that mentality. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But yeah, so I wrote some quick highlights for the first Imagineering story, just to kind of get people super interested in it. They interviewed Imagineer Bob Gurr, who's one of the most. He created the Matterhorn.
Oh wow! Okay.
He was the one that brought like the amusement into the theme park. And so there's a beautiful story about every cast member that has ever worked the Matterhorn. They signed this wall, and Bob had never signed the wall, so they like got to film him signing this wall. And, it was Disney's so good at pulling at them heartstrings.
Yeah, they're very good at emotional manipulation. Yes.
They did confirm the basketball court in the Matterhorn.
Okay,
which is cool. One of the Imagineers. So we've both talked about why we feel. Galaxy's Edge feels a little off compared to the rest of Disney. And they talked about the big thing. And one of the things is when they were building Disneyland was the kinetic energy of the park. And it's wherever you are, you can see a ride moving. You can hear something going on.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It hits every sense. So you're never feeling like you're just standing still. And that's what Galaxy's Edge is missing.
Right, because the only ride open as of now, and at the end of the day, both rides, when they do open, will only be inside.
Yeah. And even then, like, there's a couple characters walking around, but they're kind of doing their own things. Yeah, there's not really a lot happening in the markets.
No, like the droid build is inside, the lightsaber builds you can't even look at. It's completely indoors. Yeah, actually, that's a very good point. That all the attractions there are...
And there's no music.
I think there's music in the marketplace, right?
There's very quiet music, yes, and there's music in the bathrooms.
Yeah.
But when you're in just and when you're walking through the resistance area, there's like the animal noises.
Yeah.
But outside of that, if you're standing in front of the Falcon, it's silent.
No, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, because the whole thing is it's supposed to be, in universe, so you're not going to hear the Star Wars theme anywhere.
Yeah. So they're talking about that, which is super interesting. They were talking about bringing in like animators and architects and how they kind of found their place in Imagineering. They talked about like a jazz band. It's not all the same instrument. You kind of need everyone having their own specialties coming in, and that was kind of Walt's idea with building the park. Is it's not just architects he brought in. Like architects made architecture, and that was boring. So he brought in concept artists, and they made stories.
Yeah.
And that was super cool. There was a great line. Oh, yeah, okay. There's a great line. Last little quote. It's a great line by this character, by this woman named Alice Davis, who's wives of one of the original Nine Old Men. She created all the Small World costumes.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and so when she was talking to Walt about it, she's like, "Oh, well, how much do I have per costume? I need to know like price point." And he said, "No. You're here to design every doll. You're here to design a doll that every woman would want from age 1 to 100. We have a whole building over there full of people who will find the money for you." I'm like, that's pretty awesome.
God damn it.
But yeah, so it's each decade of Disney park history.
Okay.
And it's so cool. So that's my number one by far.
And how is High School Musical, the series?
So good, Chris. It's so good. I know you're not. I know
I'm not. It's not my thing. I have no interest in High School Musical whatsoever.
Here's my pitch for you for it. Is the music is so secondary. It's a mockumentary in high school.
Don't care.
Okay. I love that combination. It's something I'm surprised took this long to figure out.
From what you've described, and why don't you go ahead and like briefly
sorry, I know.
repitch what the show is.
The Imagineering one was one that I just really wanted to hammer in.
But like just real quickly re-explain for people what the show is, because it actually is a pretty clever meta concept for those who haven't heard you mention it 5 times before.
So it's the school they filmed the film location for the original High School Musical movies. That school in this Middle Earth is putting on a production of High School Musical.
Yes. So yeah, it's a scripted show in the guise of being a mockumentary.
Yes. And it's very fun. The characters are very charming and relatable. It has a similar kind of energy that Booksmart has with like very, very nice characters.
Yeah. No, I mean it's a really genius idea. It's much better than just doing a remake or doing like a spin-off sort of thing. Like the sort of smart meta approach to it is really clever.
Yeah. And it's funny listening to the characters. They're like, "Oh, I'm a diehard fan. I've seen High School Musical 1 11 times." And I'm like, "Please, those are child's numbers."
Step up your game.
I'm like, "Come on, 11. I saw 11 in the first year."
Oh my God.
You're not going to bop to the top with those numbers, honey.
No, not even coming close.
Yeah, so it's so much fun. It's a great, just like 30-minute fun high school romp.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about Mando, or should we save that for the last one?
Let's do some talk about Mandalorian here. So yeah, it's the only thing I've watched so far, only originally I've watched so far on Disney Plus.
Have you watched all 3 episodes?
I've watched all 3 episodes.
Okay.
So we will get into spoilers in the first 3 episodes. I think there's really no way to avoid it. I quite like it. Let's start with the positive things first. I have like one big negative, but let's start with the positive things first.
Okay.
I think the atmosphere is fantastic.
I love the look of it.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. They put the money into it. Like there are shots of like the ship flying around. Like this looks like it was for a movie, not done for a TV show. Like the money is absolutely on screen. The aesthetic is fantastic. It feels really. It reminds me a lot of Rogue One, which you and I have slightly different opinions on. I love Rogue One because it's like taking Star Wars of the era when it originally came out, but with all the modern capabilities, and it just looks fucking beautiful. And this show looks gorgeous. I like the look of the Mandalorian. I actually kind of prefer his first uniform more than the exposed metal one that he has
at the end of episode 3.
At the episode 3. No, like
so for the people who haven't watched yet, it's Fetch Quest the series.
Sorry, what now?
A Fetch Quest is in a.
Oh, okay. I thought Fetch Quest was like an actual thing. But
no.
Okay,
It's a video game term.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Where he's like, go do something and come back to the same spot.
Yeah, so that's interesting because I was talking to my brother about the show, I guess the first 2 episodes. And he made that comment too. It felt like watching a video game.
That's exactly my note is I wrote it's like watching someone play a really well-written Star Wars video game, but the person playing isn't good at the controls yet.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Because it is a little slow. For me, that worked in the first episode. When it was a little bit slow, it was just like I like the pace of it. I like spending time in this world and just getting accustomed to the aesthetic and the tone and the atmosphere and everything like that. I didn't love the second episode, which felt like a filler quite a bit. I think now I've just gotten really impatient with shows that drag out their storytelling. I'm mostly blaming / complimenting The Good Place for that, which just burns through story so fast. But, obviously the first episode ends with this big reveal of the bounty he's after is this. We don't know the name of the species of Yoda, but everyone's calling him Baby Yoda, although it's not actually Yoda. But it's one of his species who's 50 years old, but he's still a baby because they age so slowly. Who's adorable.
I'm amazed Disney didn't capitalize on this already, and like they don't have merch in the parks yet.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere they're gonna have it by Christmas.
I was gonna say if you put a Santa hat on that thing,
Jesus Christ,
I will buy every one of them.
All of them. It is so cute. They really know how to do that, and like it's cute, but also still feels like it makes sense in the universe. Like I will always kind of roll my eyes a bit at the Ewoks because it's just like this is dumb.
Yeah.
But they are really smart with doing their little Baby Yoda thing. He's super cute, so that's a great reveal at the end. Like also that shootout at the end of the first episode's amazing.
So good
with him and IG-11, of course, voiced by Taika Waititi, who's fantastic. Like that's a great shootout, like great action beats, and then that final moment when he shoots IG-11 and takes the kid rather than letting the kid get shot. The second episode to me was just a little bit pointless. I was like, okay, so he gets back and his ship's been scrapped by Jawas. Like I felt like one, really, you have no security protocols in place to prevent that from happening. And 2, they essentially destroyed that ship.
Yeah.
So the fact that he was able to put it together in a real quick montage with Nick Nolte's weird Ugnaught alien.
I loved him.
I love him too.
I have spoken.
He was great, but just like that was a little bit silly to me. Like I thought maybe they should have only just taken a couple key components rather than scrapping the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like taking like the engine.
Yeah, and I feel like that episode was only there just to build up some time with him and the kid, which felt like it could have been done a little bit faster. But I liked episode 3 a lot when he gets back.
Oh, that final. I don't want to talk too much about episode 3 because that is a little too fresh.
Well, by the time this comes out, episode 5 will have aired.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about that.
Oh, no, episode 4 will have aired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about it then.
Yeah.
The last scene with all of the other Mandalorians, the only thing that I saw was like every one of those in a toy box.
Yep. I saw a great thing on Facebook, and it was every convention next year, and it was just a sea of all the different Mandalorians. I quite liked it, that he brings the kid back and he's all cool with it and just asks that question of like, what's going to happen? And also I love that the guy he's talking to is Werner Herzog because he has that great voice.
It's like, so good.
How uncharacteristic of your kind. It's like, oh, that voice is so juicy. I love it. I love me some Werner Herzog.
You're breaking the code.
He's breaking the code. But like we always knew he was going to come back, but then when he comes back, it's a pretty good action sequence there. But yeah, with him flying off and the kid, I wasn't expecting the show to go this way, and I'm kind of glad.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because I don't know where it's going now.
Yeah, because I guess now like the Bounty Hunters Guild will probably be after him. So
it's Space John Wick.
My brother Wes texted me right before the podcast. I haven't had a chance to text him back, but he's like, "What'd you think?" I'm like, "Oh, it was good." He's like, "Yeah, it's like Star Wars John Wick." I'm like, "Yeah, it is. It's kind of epic."
Yeah,
I'm totally here for it. So, I mean, I've been really enjoying it, and it looks beautiful, and it's definitely one of those shows that I give the time of day. I sit and I properly watch it. I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah, same.
I will say this, though. To me, it hasn't yet proven that it needs to be a TV show.
You think this could have been a
I think this could have been a movie. Now, obviously, we aren't far enough in yet to know what the overall arc of this thing is, but it is clearly a show. What's interesting, it's a show with a character that is very passive and very kind of ill-defined, but they're clearly giving an arc to him because there's a beat where he does something out of character. It's going to lead to the rest of the story. So essentially they've spent, 2.5 hours setting up 30 minutes of a film. and I've enjoyed most of it. I'm also just like, you haven't really proven to me why this needs to be a TV show. So the other show I'm watching right now at the same time is Watchmen, which I've been really enjoying. I'm caught up on that now. So episode 5 as of recording of this. So good, and that is totally proven that it needs to be a TV show because a lot of characters, a lot of intricate things are going on. They're setting things up, paying them off later, setting up mysteries, answering them, setting up more mysteries. Like it has that rolling, building, complex narrative that you want out of a really good, juicy show. And this is so far very minimal, and it hasn't really proven yet that it needs to be a TV show.
I agree with that. I also kind of like that aspect though, where it feels very much like an old Western. Where it's like we're just kind of like we're getting one question and then we get the answer. And now we're gonna get our next question in the next episode. And it's I feel like I haven't seen that in so long.
No.
I feel like every show I've been watching recently has been the like question, answer, question, answer, question, answer.
But I still feel like you could do that and have it be kind of a slow build Western without having it be spread out quite so.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still firmly in the belief that this should have been a video game.
Well, I mean, that's a whole bunch. There's all these conversations about it, right? Because there was that video game 1313, which was going to be
begin to talk to me about 1313.
Boba Fett battling his way through the underground, like the little underworld of Coruscant.
Yeah, it was going to be Arkham Asylum Star Wars.
Exactly, with Boba Fett, and it ultimately got scrapped. And we've even seen some like concept art leaked that show that there's some visual similarities, even in terms of how the Mando is designed. It clearly came from that. Yeah, I mean,
I think about that game once a month.
I mean, it would have been amazing. It genuinely would have been amazing.
If you haven't seen it, there's like a 7-minute gameplay reel from E3, like 2008 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's the Star Wars game that everyone's always wanted and just never came to be.
I haven't bought or played yet Fallen Order, but I've heard good things. I'm kind of curious about it. But no, I would agree with you. This feels like maybe it could have been a movie or could have been a video game, and I'm still really enjoying it.
What if it was just a podcast?
I would have been fine with that too. I mean, a very boring, just not saying anything.
It's just a Foley podcast.
Yeah, but look, I mean, we've covered a lot of different aspects of this. At the end of the day, like, I like the platform. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the potential in terms of the content it's going to give us for Star Wars, in terms of what it's going to give us for Marvel, which we haven't had any new Marvel content yet. We haven't even gotten into that yet.
I do. One tiny note on Marvel. I do think it was very mean of them with the timing of things, because right before Disney Plus came out, Kevin Feige did make an announcement of like, if you want to stay current with every Marvel thing, you have to have Disney Plus. Saying that before Disney Plus, when no Marvel content is coming out yet, I feel like kind of lured in fans that weren't expecting to get it yet.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's very rude of Disney to do.
A little bit. Yeah, that'll be
our first thing isn't until next summer, right? Or even next winter.
I think so. It's a bit of a ways out, unfortunately. Which is not great timing. So we're kind of getting held over on other things. But I definitely want to start digging into like some of the other stuff. Like I know a lot of people, like my brother included, been watching like the X-Men animated series from the 90s. So actually, a note on that, because he sent me this. I didn't realize this, but like a lot of shows at that time, the broadcast order is asinine. It's completely out of touch with the story order.
Yeah.
So in the show notes for this episode, I will have a link to an article that'll tell you the proper way to watch X-Men animated series if you're watching it.
Amazing.
I will also include a link to an article actually from StarWars.com that tells you the right order to watch the Clone Wars in, because that also is a complete jumbled mess, but that is a great show, well worth watching. But if you're going to do it, watch it in the order in this article, the actual like canonical story, chronological order, not the ridiculous order they put it out in terms of broadcast. I don't. Is there one thing on there you haven't watched yet that you're still excited to get into?
I'm excited to finish Noelle for new stuff, and then for old stuff, Lilo and Stitch the series.
Oh, that's on there.
Really high up
that's
on my
nice.
list. I watched the first episode, and then jumped over to Kim Possible. I'm excited to rewatch Even Stevens.
Okay.
Because the musical episode is like one of the best things Disney's ever put out.
Okay.
What else? I mean, all the DComs, obviously. And then kind of like the things that I missed in my Disney like history of the like 70s and 80s stuff. Because I feel like that's my biggest hole right now.
Okay.
Especially all the live action stuff of the mid to late 80s.
Sure.
Yeah. Gotta fill in that void. Oh, no, there's a documentary. Sorry, that's the one. There's a documentary that came out 10 years ago that completely passed by me, but it's my favorite lesson to give to people. And it's called Waking Sleeping Beauty. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's a documentary that talks about the decline and then rise again of Disney animation from Sleeping Beauty to the end of the Renaissance.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. And that's my favorite thing to give a lesson to. Even if people don't care to listen, I will talk anyway. About like the decline in animation quality, how much money they were putting into it.
Yeah.
How the animation studios almost completely shut down in the mid 80s because Eisner is not a great person in my opinion. And then its resurgence with The Little Mermaid.
Okay. That's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'll check that out.
Yeah. That's I think top of my list after all the originals.
Okay. Yeah, like I definitely want to check that out. That's really cool. I want to watch the Imagineering story. I want to check out the Jeff Goldblum thing because I just love Jeff Goldblum.
It's very weird.
I love it. I love it.
It's so. Oh, he's. Such
I love me some Goldblum. And then the show I am excited to watch, I'm just not sure when I'm going to get to it, is of course X-Men Evolution, our favorite X-Men show, which is up there. But I am still actively watching the stuff for the normal purview of this podcast of the DCAU.
Yep.
And I'm still getting caught up on Brave and the Bold, so I'm not sure when that'll get slotted in there.
Yeah. Oh, and we're also. I think next week is when we're getting the first round of more new stuff.
Okay.
So we're getting another Disneyland documentary coming out next week, which is like the life of like Disney cast members. So yeah, someone working the day shift, midday shift, and night shift, and then just more stuff about that I don't know yet, and then a couple other new things that I don't know yet.
Nice. No, I mean it's good stuff out there. We have our criticisms, and we were very like just end is nigh.
Alphabetize things. Disney just learned to alphabetize.
Yeah, look, I mean, we can have pretty realistic concerns about just general entertainment and monopolization, but we're also very much suckered into enjoying the stuff they're giving us nonetheless.
Yeah.
Well, we'll take that bread and circuses.
Yep.
And enjoy it. But no, if you guys have been watching stuff, if you have thoughts on The Mandalorian or High School Musical, the series.
Maybe some TMTS, yeah.
Or just anything else, or if you have perspectives on what we were talking about in terms of the monopolization of the industry and the potential withdrawal of these antitrust laws, really curious to get other people's perspective. I think you and I are very much absorbed in all this because it's the world we live in, the world we work in.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious what people think about that.
Yeah,
So,
same.
Yeah. Also, if you we were plugging this in the last episode too. If you guys have like questions about entertainment or just like fun thoughts you want us to talk about,
Just life in Hollywood in general.
Yeah, if you want us,
How many premiere parties do we go to? Every one of them.
all of them,
Every single one of them.
I know. I
haven't missed one since 2006.
nowhere near enough room in my schedule for all of the premieres we must attend at all times. I know. I've worn holes in all of my tuxedos at this point. But no, like we always love getting questions to you guys and having stuff to talk about, and always love to hear your thoughts on these things too. But you can find us at Timm Talk Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Gmail. Cameron, where can they find you?
You can find my art page at Cameron.Dexter on Instagram and my face at CamDexter_adventures.
Boom, boom, boom. And you can find me at Lordifer on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. We will be back next week with actual more Static Shock.
Unless I'm absorbed by Disney by then.
That's true. You are very much borderline part of the collective at this point.
Yeah, you see what I look like.
Yes, I know. The problem is you've already set fire to all of your Disney clothes until they put things in alphabetical order proper.
I know, until we get Disney's Static Shock.
Give it time.
Yeah.
It'll happen. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.